Hi guys, thank you for clicking my video on YouTube, and I'm really excited to be here and share a little bit about myself to all of you guys. So let's get straight to the first question. Okay, so before I'm introducing myself, I want to say a really big sorry because there is a rain outside. So if my voice is inaudible, I want to say sorry, and I will try my best to make my voice clear. So next, let me introduce myself. My name is Muhammad Nabil Fanezi. But people usually call me Nabil or Panezi, or even some people call me Paneji with P instead of F. So I was born on March 2006. So right now I about 18 years old, and I originally came from Karawang. But right now, I'm living in Sarijadi, Bandung, where I've been here for the past 2 months since I was officially become a student at Bandung State Polytechnic. Okay, so now we're talking about my academic background. So let's start it from elementary school. So I was student at SDIT Harapan Umat Karawang, and then for the junior and senior high school, I spent it at one place. It was Ashifa Junior and Senior High Boarding School at Subang. And currently, I'm studying computer engineering at Bandung State Polytechnic, or we can call it Polban. And if people asking me why I'm choosing the computer engineering majoring, because I'm really confused, and I'm really curious about how a computer system work and why they continues to develop from time to time. Because and we can see from their early days, computer can be size of a classroom, and but nowadays we can see there is a phone, there is a laptops, there is a personal computer that smaller than the first era of computer and more functionable. And more about computer engineering, I really enjoy learning about programming language like Java, like Python and others. And then I hope this knowledge will help me and help us in the future. So now we're talking about my skills in computer engineering. I will say that I am one of those people who have just entered this field because I came from high school, not a vocational high school, or we call it SMK, where in high school I never studied too deeply about computer system, about computer engineering and kind of that. But through that, I've gained experience, a little bit of experience in designing platform like Canva or Figma, if you know it, but I know you know Figma. And then talking about my dream or my future plan, I'm really want to be a front-end engineer because I really like to design something, and I want people to feel satisfied when using the application that I develop. And I know it will take a really long time to that thing until that thing happens, but I want to keep it working on progress. And I hope you guys later will use my application or using the application that I design. Okay, so after talking about my academic background, about my future and my dream and my skill, I want to. I'm just like anyone else. I've got hobbies that keep me getting out to keep myself from getting stressed. I mean, so my hobby is I like to playing sports like badminton, like volleyball, and basketball. And then I like to play guitar, as you can see in my. This is my guitar. And then I like to sing alone because my voice is disappointing. And then I've been spending a lot of time playing volleyball because volleyball has been really fun and a great way to unwind after long days of studying and a never-ending task. And my favorite sports, my favorite hobbies, my lovely game is volleyball. Okay, so now besides my hobby, I have my family that being my biggest support system, and I've got a really close knit family because I'm the first child of four siblings, so that means I am the older. And then my parents, both of my parents is Padang people, so I have Padang's blood in my veins. But instead of spending my childhood in Padang, I spent my childhood in Karawang. But sometimes I go back to my hometown, Padang. So yeah, I think that's a little bit about me. I hope you enjoyed getting to know me a bit better. If you want to chat more or have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below, or you can contact me here. Now I'm just giving you my Instagram. And then I'm always up for a good conversation, and I'd love to hear your stories too. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care all. Nah, I'm just kidding. Let's get to the next session. Okay, so now we're talking about the description of a person, and I will describe one of the legends in the world of boxing, and he is Muslim. Who else if not Muhammad Ali? By the way, I took this information from the book Bukan Yang Terbesar, Legenda Tinju Dunia Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali, or the first name is Cassius Marcellus Clay Jr., was born on January 17, 1942, in Louisville, Kentucky. Is widely regarded as one of the greatest boxers in history. He was known not only for his extraordinary achievement in the ring but also for his charismatic personality and firm stance on social issues. From a young age, Ali showed a keen interest in sports, particularly boxing. At the age of 12, after having his bicycle stolen, he decided to learn how to fight so he could defend himself. Soon after, he started to shine in amateur boxing, eventually winning a gold medal at the 1960 Rome Olympics in the light heavyweight division. Beside that, Ali have a really towering figure, both physically and in presence, standing at 6 feet and 3 inches or 191 centimeters. He had a muscular and lean physique, typical of a heavyweight boxer. His athletic build was marked by broad shoulders, powerful arms, and a strong chest, which allowed him to generate speed and strength in the ring. Ali had a chiseled jawline and high cheekbones, giving his face a strong, defined look. His eyes were sharp and expressive, often showing both confidence and determination. Ali had a short, curly black hair in his prime, which he typically kept well groomed. Apart from physical appearance, Ali has interesting skills and strength. One of Ali's most remarkable strengths was his speed and his precision. In an era when most heavyweight boxers relied on sheer power, Ali brought a style that was faster, more agile, and technically skilled. Nicknamed by the greatest, Ali possessed a unique defensive technique and exceptional footwork, often described as floating like a butterfly, stinging like a bee. And then his career reached its peak in 1964 when he won the heavyweight world title by defeating Sonny Liston despite being the underdog. Shortly after this victory, Ali announced that he had converted to Islam and changed his name from Cassius Clay to Muhammad Ali. Ali was also known for his courage outside the ring. For example, in 1967, during the Vietnam War, he refused to be drafted into the military due to his religious belief and opposition to the war. This decision cost Ali his world title, and he was banned from boxing for nearly 4 years. However, he stood by his principles and became a symbol of resistance against racial and social injustice. After returning to boxing, Ali proved that he was still the greatest, by winning back the heavyweight title multiple times. Some of his most memorable fights include the Rumble in the Jungle in 1974, where he defeated George Foreman, and the Thrilla in Manila in 1975 against Joe Frazier. This match solidified his place in boxing history. However, behind all his success, Muhammad Ali also had his shortcomings. One of his weaknesses was his reliance on his ability to dodge punch with speed and reflex. As his career progressed and his speed declined, he began to take more punishment, especially in his later fights. This likely contributed to his development of Parkinson's disease after retiring, which many believe was a result of the brain injuries sustained throughout his boxing career. Outside the ring, although he was admired for his bravery, Ali was also criticized for his outspoken and sometimes arrogant behavior. Particularly early in his career, he often stirred controversy with his sharp political and racial statements. Despite these flaws, Ali was revered as a figure who brought significant change, not only to the world of boxing but to society as a whole. He used his fame to fight for civil rights and peace, becoming a global icon remembered not only as a boxer but as a humanitarian. And Muhammad Ali passed away on 3rd June in 2016, leaving behind an indelible legacy in the world of sports and an inspiration to millions around the globe. His strengths and weaknesses were integral parts of who he was, but there is no doubt that Muhammad Ali will always be remembered as one of the most influential athletes of all time. Okay, so now we gonna talking for some random objects, but I don't want to just like common objects like guitar or like my where is no, just like um, my phone or like club or uh, kind of that. I will choose other than that. So I'd like to talk about an appliance that has become a true lifesaver for many, especially for students living in dorms or small apartments or how we call it or kosan. Yeah. So it's something simple but incredibly versatile and helpful for us for cost people. So it was the rice cooker, or it's often called in Indonesia as Magicom. Yeah. So let's begin with the physical appearance. A rice cooker is typically compact and portable. Look how I could lift it easily. This is the colokan, and it comes in a variety shapes, but mine is rounded, so sometimes it was round or slightly rectangular. The outside is often made of stainless steel or durable plastic. Mine is durable plastic. You can hear it. It's like that, and because it was made by durable plastic, giving it a sleek and modern look. Yeah, it kind of modern look, like there is some flowers, kind of that, and yeah, like that lah. And then on the top, you will find a detachable lid or a hinged cover like this, so you can lift it easily, which includes a steam fan that allows access of moisture. This is the steam fan. You can see it. Could the steam can get outside. Ooh, so nice, bro. And then inside there's the heart of the appliance, the heart of the Magicom. The inner pot, I can't leave it because it was really hot. I'm just making a rice inside of it. You can see it. And there is a steamer basket, but I never use it because I uh, just use it for make rice, not for steaming something. And then now for the primary function is the rice cooker is to cook rice perfect. What it cannot cause to cook a rice effortlessly and so easy, perfectly inconsistent. Modern rice cooker, even the modern version of this can do something more, like steam vegetables, cook soups, make noodles, porridge, or oatmeal. And you can even prepare stews, boiled eggs, or simple dessert in it. All of this is possible with just press the button. And I don't know why it's broken. So why is the rice cooker such a game changer for us, for cost people, particularly for students and young professionals living on their own or like us? Well, for starters, it's incredibly easy to use. Like you just need to open it. You put your rice inside and put some water, and then you close it. Then you put this in the electricity power, and then you click this button. You look, if you can read it, there is cook and warm, just like that. And within 15 to 20 minutes, your rice is all ready to eat. Unlike stovetop cooking, there's no need to constantly watch or stir it. Once the rice is done, the cooker automatically switches to warm mode, keeping the rice hot and ready to eat for hours. This is particularly useful for busy students who might be juggling classes, assignment, and other responsibilities. And for those living in small place like dorm or like cost like me, uh, the kitchens we doesn't get any kitchen here, so we just bring these things to cook our rice, and this is individual, not for a lot of people, Joe. So this magicom just for me only. Next, now let's consider another huge advantage. It was cost efficiency. Students often live on tight budgets, and buying food outside every day can quickly drain not your, our, can drain our wallet. A rice cooker allows you to prepare meals at home and saving money on takeout. Rice itself is inexpensive. We can buy it 3 kilograms or more than that, and we can be buy it a lot of rice. So it's a great staple for students to rely on. Plus, you can combine rice with affordable ingredients like eggs, vegetables, and sauces to create satisfying balanced meals. There's also the fact that it saves time. Unlike more traditional methods of cooking where you have to manage multiple pans and utensils, the rice cooker does most the work for you. It's easy to set up, cook, and clean. After a long day of studying or working, you can throw ingredients in, press a button, and have a meal ready with little effort. And for students who aren't experienced cook, just like me, the rice cooker takes the stress out of meal preparation because you just what I said before, just open it and then you put the rice inside, you put the water and then turn on the hot button and wait for 15 to 20 minutes and your rice is ready to eat. Now, in another scenario, uh, like steaming vegetables or boiling eggs for breakfast, or even an oatmeal or porridge by simply adding oats and water to the pot. It's simple and more creative dishes. Finally, I want to talk about how a rice cooker can be a nutritional advantage for students. Since it encourages home-cooked meal, you have more control over what you're eating. Instead of relying on processed or fast food, you can make healthier options like steamed vegetables, lean proteins, and of course, rice. In conclusion, the rice cooker is a small but mighty appliance, particularly for students like me, and it's compact, affordable, versatile, and easy to use, making it the ultimate lifesaver for those trying to balance a busy life while still eating well. Whether you're cooking rice, noodles, soup, or something more creative, the rice cooker is the perfect companion for surviving today's life or any small living situation. So, this is the lifesaver. Okay, so now I will talk about my hometown and the city that I really want to visit to all of you guys. So, just like in the introduction section, my hometown is in Padang, West Sumatra. So, I will explain to all of you guys about the city, the Padang city to all of you. So, I know that when all of you hear the word Padang, the things that come to your head will not be far from rendang, sate Padang, uh, warung makan Padang, warung sederhana, pagi sore, siang malam, which are almost in all cities in Indonesia. Even though Padang is not only famous for its culinary delights, the things that I like the most when I return home, or we call it pulang kampung, or in Padang language we call it balik kampung, is when I travel to Bukit Tinggi area and saw the Jam Gadang directly. And for your information, guys, there is a little fact that you need to know that the Jam Gadang engine, there are only two in the world. Was made by Fortmann Rellinghausen from Germany, and the other engine is located in Big Ben in London. And the most striking thing about another location that I want to visit is Lembah Anai. The most striking thing about Lembah Anai is the Lembah Anai waterfall, or air terjun Lembah Anai, which has a height about 35 meters, and the waterfall cascades down from the lush green cliff, creating amazing views to all of the tourists there. The clear water adds to the cool and fresh atmosphere around the location, making the visitors feel close to nature. In addition to its natural attractions in Padang, there is also one of the famous historical attractions, namely Istana Basa Pagaruyung. So the building of Istana Basa Pagaruyung has a very distinctive architecture, reflecting the traditional style of Minangkabau traditional house. We call it Rumah Gadang. So the Rumah Gadang roof is in the shape of a pointed and curved gonjong, resembling a buffalo horn, which is characteristic of traditional Minangkabau house. The palace consists of 3 floors, with intricate and beautiful wood carvings adorning every corner, depicting the Minangkabau philosophy of life and customs. And the palace, the Istana Basa Pagaruyung, is surrounded by a beautiful natural scenery with mountains and green rice fields stretching out, adding to its majestic and peaceful impression. The combination of the architectural beauty, rich history, and natural charm makes the Istana Basa Pagaruyung a must-visit destination when all of you guys go to West Sumatra. And then after talking about my hometown, we will talk about the city that I really want to visit. So I'm choosing Yogyakarta. Why I choose Yogyakarta? Because I have visited Jogja several times, and Yogyakarta has never disappointed me, never make me disappointed with all of the beauty, all of the culture, and kind of that, starting from its culinary, natural tourism, historical tourism, the culture, and some place like Malioboro Street, the Gajah Mada University, and maybe there are still many destinations that I didn't mention to all of you guys. But what I like the most about the Jogja, it's the natural tourism. So I will tell you about my vacation to Jogja with my friends, and the time we went to Goa Pindul. Goa Pindul is about 350 meters long with an average width of 5 meters, and the water depth varies between 5 to 12 meters. This cave or Goa Pindul exploration takes about 45 minutes to 1 hour. 1 hour. And Goa Pindul consists of 3 main zones: the light zone, the dim zone, and the dark zone. In the light zone, sunlight can still enter, providing a bright and beautiful view about the Goa Pindul. And next, we enter to the dim zone. The atmosphere starts to get more shady and mysterious while after we through the dim zone we going to the dark zone. And my friends and I will really feel the experience of being in total darkness, which added to the excitement of our trip at that time. So after getting out of the dark zone, we were invited by the tour guide to jump off the cliff. And the beauty doesn't just stop there. Along the way from Goa Pindul to the hotel, I really enjoyed the trip when I was riding the motorcycle, and the atmosphere of the city of Jogja is made me amazed by its beauty. And that's a few things about myself that I share. Hopefully you enjoy this video, and apologize if my pronunciation is still a lot wrong. So don't forget to leave your criticism and suggestion on my Instagram or in the comments column, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thanks for watching.